Good afternoon. This is just my opinion as to give a review of something I have been following in the media. Everybody's big on review videos. Here's mine. My review is of the last two news conferences given by the Honorable Mayor Bottom of Atlanta, Georgia. On the issue at hand, the shootings in her city, she has given two news conferences. During these news conferences, I have been left with the following impression as a conservative Georgian. Okay. She has a very clear understanding of what the issues are, what this main issue is about. And while this issue may have some racial tones at times, she understands the true issue of policing and law enforcement in this country. My reasoning for this is the impression that she has as her terminology and her way of speech, and you could just tell her overall emotion, or I felt I can read people very well, and I was just reading her character during these two news conferences. I feel she has a good understanding of this because of the term that she used, and I quote, "There is a difference between what you can do and what you should do." She felt that this was not a justified shooting. She also understands, I could tell by that statement of there is a difference what you can do and what you should do. She understands there is a difference between unjust and illegal. She understands that these officers need to be trained more to make better decisions, to handle pressures, that there is a total lack of training. I praise her the fact that she has an opportunity here as the mayor of Atlanta to change policies in her city, to change requirements, to not only improve her city, but to be a model for the nation. Because as she does in Atlanta, which is historically a peaceful city during times like this, and changes do come from Atlanta, they do come from Georgia. We do make some pretty progressive common sense. Anyway, she has an opportunity here to actually do some good, and I have the impression that she's on the right track. If she doesn't cave to her political party's liberalist ideas, I believe that during the riots, or the first protest and slight riots they had in Atlanta, I believe she showed herself to be a firm and fair mayor. She may have been a little slow to start, but I think people got a general understanding that while there are issues with this policy and policing, we do need them. They do have a job to do, and she's going to support them in doing their job correctly. That she did do. She's done very well on that point, I think. My message to the rest of the country, or whoever decides to see this video, is listen to this young lady, listen to this woman. She's got a handle on this, and I think she might have a clear enough understanding to want to correct the problem. I close this with my personal ideas on how a bipartisan effort should be made in certain areas. One, education and training. These officers have to be trained. They have to not just go to a 12-week or 6-month camp somewhere and then get a badge and a gun. Okay, there has to be, I feel, 2 years dedicated strictly to this law enforcement, not a /law enforcement paralegal degree. If this is what you choose to do for a living, this is what you want to do, then you have to be willing to take up not just the physical and tactical aspects of this, but to be trained better in the tactical aspects, but to also be trained in the psychological aspects on how to deal with a variety of people. I believe that, number two, body cameras for every officer with a badge, whether you're in a car, whether you're at the jail, whether you're sitting at a precinct house. If you're interacting with people, from the time you're on the clock to the time you get off the clock, you have a battery-operated wireless camera system that is flat out just shows everything. If there was some way we can get one in the front and a small one in the back, just so we can know what's going on. Okay. case you get snuck up on, so we can see every aspect of what you're doing. And field officers who are going to be on the road should have the camera on their dash, front and back, if they don't have a 360 mounted on top of the car. Anyway, camera systems for police officers. We need that, but not just on the patrol cars, in the jails. I believe Ms. Bottom understands that this law enforcement reform needs to start everywhere. Not just what housed on the street, but how they're handled once they get into the jails. All right. 3. Once you are trained, once you are going through all these issues, you understand your policies, you have proven yourself through education and a probationary period, you should have, during your probationary period, the first round of every service weapon, I think the first round of every service weapon period should be rubber. Hard rubber, if not the first 2 rounds. That's just me. You can say it's a danger, but I believe it could just, you pop off them rounds so quick, trained officers would do this properly. So we have camera systems, we have, education and proper training, long term, not just short term, 6-month course and you're a cop with a gun on the road. We can't do that. Okay. More psychological training, more vetting. We can put that in there with it too. All right. And better pay for officers. If you're trained on the road, you have to be able to make a decent living. The assistant manager at the wing joint down the street should not make more than the average police officer. That shouldn't happen. Those being said, I think that Miss Bottom should be listened to. If the ideas I throw it on the end just for good luck impress her, I hope she uses them. That's my review of a speech. That's my review of 2 news conferences. This is my first review video. I'm sure I should do better, but there'll be more to come probably.